Okay, so as I said, this is just like informal studying, right? And I'm really looking for some notes and to compare my strategy with VIX and to like obviously just do an assessment. With any strategy, you know, an edge, the market changes. I want to make sure that I'm adapting to those changes and making sure that the edge that I find myself using successfully is still as sharp. Okay. So, yeah, I am 100% my voice talking smack. Axe on in the chat. So, the one thing I was saying here on before, if we look at the NQ 10-minute chart, was that we had this gap fill that I was interested in. So we gapped down Wednesday into Thursday, and then we just basically rejected off of that area twice, right? Like this was just a prime short, you know. We went lower, and then once, you know, upon seeing this double bottom, especially with the algo kicking on here, and the algo could not push lower. So when the algo started pushing into higher, and then looking at the way the daily chart looked, um, right, seeing I would only have been able to see this as a daily chart, and now I'm seeing we're failing to break this low. So I would be thinking that we are at least going to come up in here and test this high at 700, which, oop, there we go. And you see this happen on many different time frames. As people say, time is fractal, whatever the hell that means. But that was my thesis, right? And that was my thesis for, you know, calls and the positions I took for Friday's trading. So back to the 10-minute chart, the one thing that I pointed out, right, was with watching that gap. With watching this gap, we fill this gap around here. I was talking about how we were going to go up and push and fill the gap because of just seeing the ignition and just how sellers were trying to push it down. We faded, and once we faded right into VWAP, it was a big pop, right? So we popped up, we filled that gap, we rejected, we came down, we swept the other side, couldn't close under, right? Powerful news candle, can't close lower, can't close under VWAP. We get this one here that probably fakes people out, thinking that, you know, because we're finally closing under VWAP, we're going to go lower, and the buyers step back up, right? And then the orb high, you didn't get a nice clean breaking base orb high play, right? But with these gap fills, we refill the same gap again, and now that we've pushed over it, we've closed 2 candles over it. I know it's like looks like shit, but we closed 2 candles over it, and then we come back down and we hit this golden zone of the gap. It's like this is on repeat. So someday we'll have a whole private session, or not private, but a whole session devoted to this. But it works, and this is the 4 p.m. close gap to 9:30 a.m. Open gap. So after we do that, we hit this golden zone. We come back down. What we do, we test the high of the gap, right? This is where the gap began. This is Wednesday's closing price at 4 p.m. again. And then we actually finally, after here, break up higher, right? So this one was good because you can tell they really just swept under here. And this was a nice fake out trade. A couple people were talking about trades related to this time frame in the chart review floor. So I would encourage you to go and look at that. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm probably going to get rid of some stuff, and I want to. I think I'm going to just start by comparing NQ to VIX, or I realize. Hold on, I'm going to change this chart. I'm on like a flexible grid, and I want like one that's just like the I don't know what you would call it, the regular grid, where you can just see, like I can go here and just adjust it. Okay. Let's start with I trade NQ, right? So we'll go off of NQ for a bit. So I'm gonna just save as a new drawing set. VIX studying 315. That way, I'm organized. Hey, what's up, Axe? How you doing, bro? I'm just in here BS and whatever. Um, Getting ready to do I got a VIX session or so that I'm gonna record in like an hour and a half. So I'm just trying to study and get some things together. There's a lot going on this chart here. So let me go. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna clear this one off, and then we're going to. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, so now I got these two cleared. The only other thing I need to do is I need to turn the CBC flip back on. So I have turned the CBC flip off because, well, one, I can see it. Two, it clutters the chart. And three, with the updated one that Robbie was so kind to help with the help of Grok, it now just flashes up here, and that's enough. I way it's less to see on the charts. So, okay. All right, so now everything's on, right? So let's look at it in terms of what was happening in the open, and we'll just kind of work our way through the past week. And let's start with Monday. I'm gonna need more days, aren't I? Yeah, I want to be able to see what happened on Friday too. Okay, so here's Friday. Here's Friday the 7th. All right, so in Friday the 7th, one thing that I've added here is this Ripster's multi-time frame cloud. And what I like about it is it's the hourly 3450. And I know that because if we just, I'll turn it off on a different 1 hour. So here's where we are, right, on the 10-minute chart. And then if you look, same thing here on the hourly. This is the 3450 cloud, right? So it's basically just like the area of the 200 EMA and a little bit more. And he doesn't put the 200 EMA on his charts on the 10-minute, but a lot of us do. So it's kind of just it's just kind of like expanding that and just making it look more like an area. Like to be honest, the longer I keep it on, the more I want to just take the 200 off. But I like to know precisely where the 200 is. And I like the 200 on a lot of different time frames. So that's why I've left it on, but like you can see kind of the right. But anyways, we were closing in and rejecting over that cloud, right? And then of course you see how we fade off of it overnight. So going into the open on Monday, we've now rejected off of that pretty hard, right? We broke a higher high but failed to sustain it, and so then that tells me that this is potentially a week low, and then this week low will get taken, and that's exactly what happens, right? Because this is the week low, fails to push us and hold us higher. We come back down. If we retest it and it fails, we're going to go lower. So that's what happens. But really, what I want to look at is how did we fare on the 10th in terms of like the bases loaded strategy that I've been utilizing for a while. CBC flip short into the open. CBC is long to the open. This was really tough. This was just kind of eking its way upwards. Looked kind of weak. Didn't give us a whole lot to go off of. But price was just falling. Maybe I should go back to have an ES on this one just to be able to probably make it easier. Why is this got to be difficult? Bases loaded strategy is I got a couple videos I put out on like YouTube and posted on the skill floor too. Basically, you have the bases loaded when VIX is like, let's just say for a bullish trade, VIX would be bearish on the 10-minute candle by candle, and ES and NQ would both be bullish. So you have all three. It's kind of like, hey, the bases are loaded. It's going to be it's going to be the easiest position that you'd be in baseball, bases loaded, no outs, to score, aka make profits. So it's just kind of like I don't know, a random ass thing that I think Robbie helped me come up with, to be honest. Studies. Okay, there we go. So he has flipped back long. So this is where we wouldn't have bases loaded. After the first 10 minutes, ES flips back long, but you see it's weak here. If you waited for the ES to flip back short, now you're not at bases loaded because VIX also flips. So that was the tricky part. I remember reviewing this because this was Monday's open. What was I doing Monday? I did not trade this. I remember looking at this though. Here. So this candle, we're bases loaded on all time frames now. This can't. Oops. This candle. That's quite late though, which is fine. But you get a nice orb blow breaking base here. This is nice because you get that pullback like Maple's been talking about with like buying the green candle. It used to fade. Oh shit. Okay, so like here, when you get the flip back, this is a flip bearish. This is a flip bullish. That's 2 out of 3 bases, but at the same time frame, NQ doesn't flip. However, you could have played, and I have done this before, you could have played the pullback here, because I'm sure this is a 5-minute flip in there. You could have played that. But here, this was nice too. Fake out underneath the orb low, 3450, 26 holds. Okay. Also, just really quickly, I just want to see where this was. Yeah, we're not even close. This is a huge gap up move. And we can see how VIX was holding here. Broke over that level, came up. This low holds. So run low, breaks the high, comes back down, breaks over that high, comes down, test it up. Now we're going. We go to 29.5. Holy shit, my computer sounds like it's going to take off. Yeah, bro. Yeah. For the weather. What do you got going on for the weather, bro? As soon as I finish my bubble bath. What is this? Holy shit, dude. You got a tornado warning. Holy shit. Hail? Up to golf ball sized hail. Damn. 11 a.m. to, I'm sorry, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. tonight. Wow. Holy shit. Level 9 on a 10 scale. My god. Yeesh. Well, good luck. Hope you guys stay safe out there. Hopefully none of you guys are down by Russellville. That looks, I know you guys are in Tennessee though, so it's not Tennessee, but that looks real bad down there. Damn. Yeah, yep. All right. That was just like, so VIX was real choppy, but the market wasn't. And that's why with even the strategy I talk about, the price action is always king. So price action first, VIX confirmation. And the big thing too, right, is that like VIX already made a big move up. So now VIX is basically consolidating, but like again, it held 26. So when VIX holds 26 and starts moving upwards, like that was enough. That would be enough, right? So 26 holds twice. And then you get these little like little bitty flips. And I wouldn't be worrying about them because you're not getting any strong price action anywhere over here. This is this is some shit on ES right here because they don't flip CBC until like all the way back down to here. Where like I know that taking this short is quote unquote predicting price action. But 10-minute 20 EMA or blow 11:30. That's nice. It's predictive, but it works, right? And then of course when it flushes and it closes back down here mid EMA, that's 70. That's 10-point risk. That's tough. These candles are broad. And then you get this rejection over 29.5. So 29.5 reject. All right. And I don't have them marked, right? Because I'm always like moving my alerts and stuff like that around. Like if I look at my if I look at my regular like drawing set, I'm just looking at the whole numbers, right? And so I constantly have it, and I see my alerts are way down here, and they're like if I let me just show you. Show alerts. So replace alert. So yeah, VIX new high of day on one of them, and then VIX under previous day low, or really VIX new low day, whatever it is that I'm looking for. But I have them, and they'll go off. Like I have it, my phone will ding. Like I'm not gonna miss it, and I will always manipulate where those alerts are based off of like what I'm looking for in particular. All right, so 26 holds. You get this big rip up, and volatility is increasing as we are making a further and further move downwards. And then once we get that sharp rejection and CBC almost flips here, it flipped here, and it flipped here. Like this is a huge engulfing candle. You just barely miss out on the bases loaded here on this candle, but that would be enough to be like, okay, but you don't even get a dip. Like really, you get this tiny little dip. It's not anything to worry about trying to go long. And this is late in the day. The majority of the time that we're all trading is much earlier, and that's really what I'm concerned with. So mostly on Monday, VIX makes a big move up, consolidates, tries to break under or below. When it fails and the higher time frame cloud bounces, the EMAs start to curl back up, and we're going to make another leg down. And in terms of making another leg down, if we look at from the high of day to what NQ's low of day was at that point, which was, 383 points. And let's, just to make it easier to see, duplicate that now. And then you see, I mean, we eclipsed that from where we went here. So we made that first leg down, and then we do that again. And honestly, you could probably move it further back. But if I'm just looking at the regular RTH, a lot of times we'll see this as perfect. I shouldn't say perfect. Nothing's perfect, right? Because there's just in a million different opportunities, a million different forces on the market, right? And it's psychological representation of people's feelings, right? It's just the way the chart is. But we failed to break lower. We failed to break higher. We move this when we're going to move down. Do the same thing on this from here to here. Duplicate. Yeah, we get. I mean, we're going to get way more than that. We get way more than that. But even if you saw this and then you were like, okay, well, that looks like a fake out. Like they bought that right back up. I'm going to sell and go short. If you went on that candle and then you just trailed your runner, right? So you would have been short like here. That's 670. I mean, that's 50 points on ES and 383 points on NQ. What the hell? Yeah. So really good, like watching those like fake outs. So fake outs, and I guess you could call it like repeat. I don't even know what to call it. Repeat measured move. What is my default at the money on NQ strategy right now? If I'm trading my cash account, so it's a complicated question. I'm still taking profit between 15 and 20 points most of the time on like prop, mostly to de-risk, and because like, I mean, I understand that like VIX is high, the volatility is high, and I'm kind of playing with fire, right? Like, and I say this objectively, we're playing with fire on a $2,000 account if you trade more than, you know, more than like one mini, right? Like, it doesn't take much right now. 2 minis, a 50 point move, your account is blown. So like if you're not fast with the stop, if you don't honor a stop, if you don't have a hard stop in, you're blown. Not to mention that it can be very easy to take a big loss right there. And even if you lost 20 points, you know, that's $800. That's like more than a third of your account is blown. So that's why I'm just trying. I'm really taking the profit there just to try to de-risk. So I'll take one off, 15 to 20 points, depending on the chart. It's not a default. So it depends on the chart and what I'm looking at and where the pivot is, and where we've just recently reached below. And then I'll move my stop up. And then if I have more than 2 cons, I'll take another one off. You know, I try to double the first scale. So 15 would be 30, 20 would be 40. And I'll see if it's going to give it to me. If I get the sense that, you know, based off what I'm seeing on the chart, and sometimes I'm wrong, that I'm not going to get it, and we're hovering around 15 to 20, I'll just take another one off because, well, why not? And then I'll just trail it from there. I'll figure it out. In some trades, you know, I screw up the trail. And I'm like, oh, well, there it goes, you know, but there's always going to be another one. And then there's other times where it's like, yeah, I freaking nailed this. And then on my cash account, you know, I've reset my cash account by withdrawing funds to a lower balance, and I'm going to a $2,500 balance, and I'm going to run that up or whatever, not or whatever. I am going to run that up, and I'm going to start with 4 micros, and probably every $500 I will add a micro. Yes, it is manual and not an automatic strategy. Reading the chart is well, I feel like it's a strength. Okay, that's Monday. Again, I stay away from that mess at the end of the day. Tuesday was a shit show, and I know it. Okay. Tuesday, NQES, VIX. Okay, NQ did look a little bit more promising, right? We had like such a big move up overnight. We pull back, right? We pull back to VWAP. We get a CBC flip, and then we just barely break pivot, and then we get the 10 a.m. reversal time, as that often happens. We get the, you know, the higher time frame cloud, 200, 10-minute 200 EMA, all kinds of stuff. This is like obnoxiously colored. How do I... We'll try that. That's better. 10 a.m. reversals. It's common with a lot of news, and there was news here. This was Jolts on Tuesday. So Jolts News fails. Sorry. I'm sorry. Jolts News gives you this fake out breakout. That's right. That's right. Under pre-market low. Jolts Fobo. And you also get it over pre-market high. Sorry, orb high. Orb high. Same thing. Flushes, comes back up. Now you're back under VWAP. So at this point, most people should be waiting for the orb to be set. You have candle by candle is short on VIX. However, you just had a fake out breakout. And so you should be expecting this to go higher. I mean, this candle literally was the entire orb's width. The important part here is you closed under the EMAs and then you reclaimed them. And then on news, you couldn't flush it. It still held them. So like this was like one of those opportunities where VIX holding EMAs right here told you a lot. Now, the 10-minute EMAs here have not crossed back bullish. They were fighting to. They just barely did for a minute, and then it flushed. I remember this like pretty well because I think I took a scalp long, and then I took a scalp long like 2 minutes into this candle or something like that, and it went and it pushed up, and then it, you know, obviously it failed, right? Which good stop. Yes, though the EMAs remain bearish. So ES is king, as they say. Just want to see something though. SPX is the real king. Okay. A very similar look. Okay. News failed to close over EMAs. Bearish signal. Same thing with VIX holding EMAs here. That's all you needed to know. All you needed to know. Right? Moves down overnight, comes back up, cannot hold the higher high, breaks down below in pre-market. Pre-market, we break down below this pivot. We get, I'm gonna guess here. Oh, yeah. Golden zone retracement. I'm just gonna extend this out a little bit. I don't want it to go off the whole day. Golden zone retracement. Beautiful. Failure. I'm sure if we look at, there we go. So here it is. So a lot more confluence there. Like looking at the VIX, you get within VIX's RTH prior day, golden zone retracement. This move here, golden zone retracement. I guess, you know, somebody would say, well, like, why would you draw that one and not draw this one? You could draw this one too. It's a 50% one either that way too. If you look at the daily chart, the daily VIX candle looks like this. This whole entire thing. I like to just chart it off RTH. But in pre-market, it can definitely be helpful, right? It can definitely be helpful. It should have been. What? Dude, are we not? Yeah, okay. It should have been a concern, right? So as VIX, you know, makes this double bottom in pre-market. What happened in pre-market here for NQ and ES? VIX makes a double bottom. NQ barely sweeps the high. ES, same thing, barely goes over the high. Starts to flush. Here is your bases loaded initiation right here. on this candle in pre-market, here, here, and here, you flip bases loaded short. So I know people would think, well, it's a EMA, it's a candle by candle flip into the EMAs, but look at this structure, right? You push up, you come down. This is nice, right? And this is probably 50% of the way in this range. Yep, golden zone. Probably the same here. Yep, golden zone, right? But like, just because you flip into the EMA here, like this isn't a setup to like, oh, this is a pullback, right? That's like what Maple has done with teaching people this, right? And I think just expand on it to have a better understanding of it and see it from a more three-dimensional look. On a very two-dimensional, very, very fucking simple, sorry language, very, very simple levels here. You get the candle by candle flip. You know, you have to wait for another signal to go against that, right? So you'd have to be waiting for, all right, flipping to the EMAs, but now we're flipping the 2-minute candle back long. You know, a variety of things that he's all explained, right? And there's times where it doesn't work. My thoughts are just try to figure out the times it doesn't work so I can avoid them, right? Right? 3 things a trader should do: make more from winning trades, lose less on losing trades, find more winning trade ideas. That's my objective this weekend. Find more winning trade ideas. Well, on the other two, lose less. How do I know which fib to go? How do I know where to go off? Well, you're just looking for major pivots, right? So, or if you have a very large range, if price suddenly makes a very large range, look for the pullback into that, right? Like here's a good example, like on a very simple scale. Boom, we open. NQ just makes a huge ignition candle. So I'll just draw a fib from the low to the high. I don't know if we even come back down to that golden zone. We don't. I think for some people, for 3-bar plays, they use the 38 though, which it hits perfectly, but that would be like one of them, for example. But we don't get it. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't happen. But what else? Like, on this particular day here, we made a huge move down. Okay, so the daily candle is massive. Even if you exclude extended hours, the daily candle is massive, right? This is 19,904 to 270s. Okay, 630 points, and we reject the golden zone of it. In confluence with orb high breakout, in confluence with pre-market high fake out breakout, in confluence with your 10-minute 200 EMA. So multiple things, like multiple things. In confluence with, potentially you could see these failed buyers here on this wick. I'll zoom in. These failed buyers here, right? Sellers stepped in hard. So, you could say the buyers failed to push, sellers are still there, yada, 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 whatever. A lot to go over there. And so it's not just like, oh, let me just draw a fib. Well, it was 50%, or well, it was 61. Let me just go off of that. It's like look for a big move, draw the fib, and see. Like if you look at from pre-market low to pre-market high, or the session high, you can see they tried to defend the golden zone, and they really just didn't do it. And even if you wanted to say, well, they did, because some people will legitimately, their strategy is entering on the 61 and risking the 78, which depending on the day and the move could be a bigger or a smaller stop. And then, okay, well, if I got in under the 61, they did hold it and they pushed back up. Yeah, but I mean, this doesn't exude strength ultimately because you failed to break a higher high. And if nothing else, this is now a strong high because you made this low, and then this low couldn't break this high. So now looking for it to go lower, and that's exactly what happens. And then we should know kind of this is a strong low, because we did break a higher high here, right? And so get a little ahead of ourselves. See why I wanted to go in calls on Thursday's close? Here. Held the higher low, broke the higher high, came down, right? This was it. Look at this range. Golden zone of the range. Pushes out. Golden zone of the range. Pushes out. Having a hard time getting up over this, right? Golden zone of the range. Fails to push out. Uh-oh. We're going to go test the other side of the range. Test the other side of the range. When we do that, look. Oh, rejected the golden zone. Come back down again. Can't push lower. It hits the brick wall with the algo. Like the algo is where all the volume is. And then what we do? Look where we encountered trouble. The same end of the range, right? Tuesday's high. I mean, you can say it's not only is it Tuesday's high, but I mean it's the mid orb of Wednesday. It's the overnight session high on Thursday. Like this, this is a big area. And then there was where price rejected here as well on Monday. It's very close to the same exact level where we pushed up, and that's where VIX turned. Boom. Is that making sense? I know it's only 15 of you, but maybe other people will watch this video, and maybe they won't. So who's so far makes sense. Yeah, the strong low concept. Yeah, dude, this is like that's the strong low, strong high thing that's easy peasy. Any of you are welcome to chime in if you'd like. Just let me know, and I will just like hit you with the call up on stage thing, and you are welcome to join in chat. So it's not just 2 hours of mundane Joe talking. I love the bots. I love the bots on friggin' X right now. Like, good God, Elon, get it together, bro. Get it together. All right. So I've realized I'm a little off track there with the original sort of objective of this study session. But all right, so range day though Tuesday. Again, should we have expected a range day on Tuesday? Most likely. Why? Well, if you think about from high to low, when NQ moves 900 points. Gosh. Got my headphone. So when NQ moves 900 points, we're going to expect that it's going to have some chop. The tough part is, like he said, Gene said, drawing the fib like the correct spot, right? Like I would do RTH, right? And again, you see the fib respect even at the end of the day. I wouldn't do the whole entire day because like it's just not where the majority of the participants are. But also, I don't know, it's just me, right? And this is actually pretty great too. This was actually like really great. So we had this low. You try to hold this up. They push it up over. Here's where we actually opened. This is where we opened on Sunday. And like this Sunday open is just rejected. And so like when you see this, although it's going to take a while, you see it chopping. I mean, this is hours of price action. This is like one of those things where, well, shit, if I'm in relatively close to it, right, I'm in on this CBC flip, you know, at like 27, my true risk is probably about 35-ish points, maybe even 40 points. That's true risk to like, where am I wrong? However, in it here, and let me just blow this up. Because I'm zoomed out and looking at the bigger picture, CBC flips short into the EMAs. You see they've wicked over this and they just reject, right? And so if you get in here, let's just say you don't get in quite at the pullback. You just slap sell at the open of it, right? Your true risk is maybe even like a good 5-10 points higher than that. So let's call it 40 points. But ultimately, we would be thinking that this is the low that's going to get broken. And so from here to here is 191 points. That's a 5 to 1 trade. Now, that's of course really hard. You know, and I wouldn't even be, you know, I mean, again, I would think that the chart is going to break that, but the chart is going to do that. But most of the time, it's going to take the curviest, you know, most volatile way to get there to try to, you know, shake people out and make people fearful. I mean, this is a lot of reason to be fearful right here, because you were in this low wick and you were, you know, kind of in this area again, and you could be thinking, well, shit, we could be reversing right out of here, and you know, you miss your profit target, and that's why, you know, you take smaller size, you scale all the way down. You definitely should have scaled the majority of the position as we rebroke 20,000, and we broke under this little price pivot right here, because you can see how we bought this up, we pushed CBC up, right, and then even though you did have a CBC flip, they're not closing below the CBC flip candle. That like kind of puts you back over VWAP, and so you just push up. You're consolidating, right? And it's just like up, down. And this is the bullshit that's going to get a lot of people in trouble. Because, again, if this is RTH too, because I know most of you aren't trading at this time of night on Sunday nights, but this is the bullshit. This is just going to get you because it's going back, forth, whatever. And it's like, well, what's the big picture? Because big picture, we made a large move down. Yeah, we got bought back up. But I didn't know at this time frame that we weren't going to reject the EMAs. And so if you got in short here, that's fine, right? Because now you're short at 50 and it moves down like 40 points. Like obviously you take a scale, move stops up, and then you get stopped. Like that's just what happens. But now you know that this area is holding, right? Again, like potential for strong low, but it breaks the high, but it fails to hold over the high. And when it does that, we're going to come back down, right? Like, what's the best way to do this? We'll just do it this way. I only want the CBC flip on. I don't like how, why did it just readjust on my price action like that? Does this make more sense even when if I take off these levels? Like even without the levels on, you just see like, oh, okay, we push down. This is all I had to go off of. We push down. Okay, good. Maybe we're holding in this. Yeah, this doesn't look so bad. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, look, right around the golden zone. Golden zone holds. They're not closing below the 61. Okay. So you're thinking, hey, well, maybe we're going to go back up here and test this. Perfect. But the first thing we got to overcome is Sunday's opening print. And we don't do that. And then you see now we fade, right? So, like, going into the open, especially like on Monday, it's very, you could say like, well, not to have a bias in terms of opinion. I think we're going to go up. We've dropped so much. That's the bias that'll get you in trouble. But having a read on the price action and letting the price action tell you your bias would have been helpful here. Understanding that, hey, we moved up into this range, right? We opened right here at this tweezer bottom. We opened right here and we knifed. We rejected. We gap down and we rejected. And then, so, and you could, you look at this little bib area here or whatever, but it doesn't even get interacted with. This will be a concerning area whenever it comes back up. Like, you can just go ahead and mark your charts on this right now. Joe says watch 20,150. Just go ahead and mark that area if you want to. I'm going to even write it down because this is not my regular drawing set, and I don't have this marked. Okay, we're just going to go to default. See, look, I'm already interested in this area because I have this gap here from Friday's close to Monday's open. You see right here, and this green is what's left over of this gap. But I bet you if I put the 78.6, it's gonna be really close. There it is. Like I've done this a time or two. All right. And what was that on? The no drawings one. Okay. So making sense. All right. So that's where having that bias into the Monday morning session would have come from, right? Like, I have this bias. Looking at all of this, we are at least going to break Friday's low, which we do on the third candle of the day. Now, the tough part, I know I got some drawings in the way, but the tough part about this is a 110 point candle. This is a 100 point candle. This is a 120 point candle. If you don't nail the entry, what's going to happen? You're just going to get wicked out. And the important thing is to understand why you got wicked out and to not get frustrated. Volatility is high. VIX had gapped up. Market was gapping down. And so there's going to be some whipsaw action as large participants are like, they're all sitting there, and they're all like, well, what the hell do we do? And that's what happens. All right. So again, higher time frame cloud rejection here. We're just finishing up on Tuesday's price action. Obviously choppy because we had such a big move down. Really interesting here though, right? And I like this. This was a previous day high fake out breakout, just barely wicked over. 1%, right? And at the time when this happened was right here. So look at this price action you have there. And look what you have here. Do these two candles, right? And look how, VIX was dropping, but do either of these two candles really exude sellers' confidence? Like, no. Like, but this is some volatile stuff. Like, this hurts. I know this hurts some traders, right? Because it's just moving around like shit. Not a whole lot here. If you had an actionable setup and you wanted to go short off of the orb low, you see this big green candle pushing up and you wait and it starts to come back down and then you take it. Okay, it worked, right? It worked to an extent because it did drop like 60 more points, but you don't get any continuation, and we can't, that's just, you got to have that stop in place to know when you're going to be wrong. Like, hey, if it comes back up towards my entry, or if I'm already at 50 points, I'm not letting any part of this trade go red, not even a runner, right? But then, huge knife down, consolidation, moves down some more. And then what's happening here? VIX is making this big move down, and right from 29.5 to 27, below 27.5, VIX makes, what would that be? Like 7% something? Would it tell me? Yeah, 7.5%. Makes that move down. However, you're not getting a similar move here on ES and NQ, right? Because VIX is coming down. It's underneath its EMAs, right? It's underneath the 3450 on the 10. It's underneath the orb, the mid orb area, and you're barely peeking over this. This doesn't even break the 3450. This is this fantastic belly button short here. How would you know to take that short? I don't know. I wouldn't, right? You had CBC flip back short here. This trade probably stopped a lot of people out, unfortunately. Yep, unfortunately. trying to think about how you could have avoided this loss. That's a tough one. Yes, they are. They are. And you could say you're back under the orb low. This does look like an orb low breaking base because here's your orb low on ES. 10-minute 20 reject, VWAP reject. Yeah, shit. Honestly, I think that more skilled traders, when they see this candle turn red, are probably getting in here. If you waited for this candle to close and then you sold the pullback, you got stuffed. There's no way around it. This is one of those examples where you don't have bases loaded, though. This doesn't flip back long. And so when we've had a shift, that's where like the biggest thing is, that if we've had a shift in momentum, and then if we're going to make the next like turn, I like to see all three are in alignment. And here you would only have two, right? Yeah, you have two. And even then, hey, okay. This is adding even more context now. I see this. NQ closed right on VWAP. So like, I would be seeing that, like, yes, this candle, why is it like magnet mode sucks? This candle breaks VWAP, this candle puts in a doji right here, but then which tells me weakness, especially off the middle orb and everything. That's your golden zone retracement from high of day to low of day. Yep. But the next candle closes right on VWAP, which makes me think, man, sellers actually like don't have control, and maybe buyers are redefending the opening print. And then it does push higher. And then you get this candle by candle flip lower, and then they finally close back under and lose VWAP. And yes, here we go. If you look at this candle, all three of them are in alignment here. The biggest thing I've learned with this and a lot of things in avoiding losing trades is I have to be willing to let price action go without me. Like Maple describes the same exact thing. He says it as being willing to pay more for better quality. Have your spies. I know. Yeah, you 100%. 100%. Yeah, you got to have that. If we're talking about news, I have a whole bunch of news links, right? So like Forex Factory is one of them. Oops. I would watch the Forex Factory. I would watch, and then this one, this roll call database. So this is Trump's calendar, right? So rollcall.com, right here. So Friday, March 14th, Saturday 15th. Yeah, they don't have anything for him yet. What was he doing? He was having private lunch at 12:30. We weren't even at that yet. So like this was beforehand. But that's it. That's what I would say here is like, shit. So this kind of brings me to another point of things that I've learned, which is why on my vertical monitor, I always have NQ, VIX, ES, like literally in that order. Boom, boom, boom. So it's just literally this, but just like turn 90 degrees. And the reason being is that if I don't see, and I have the basis loaded indicator, if I don't see them all the same color, it's probably a no-go. It's probably a no-go, right? And there are times where I still will, like, I don't want to say trade against my strategy, but price action still comes first. And if I know we're at a key area or inflection point, I'll take the trade. If we're not there, I just rely on like, Old Faithful, what's working, right? And so we're in the middle of the range. This is not good, right? We are back into the middle of the range. Not looking so hot for bulls here. But here, does look like orb low breaking base. But again, people would probably be taking that short off of this candle, which I would have. I can see that this is weakness right at the orb. I know the fib is probably blocking it a little bit, but Yeah. So I mean that looks like they're selling off the 10-minute 20. So very easily you see this candle push up, and then you see it starts to come back down and turn red. You take it short at 97. It did give you an opportunity for like 14 points. So that's a very good ES trade. Enough to take a scale and move your stop, right? And so that's not a losing trade. That's a winning scalp. And that's all it is this time, and that's fine. However, when it knifes back down here, and then you get this pullback, boom, fantastic short entry, right? Here, I got to change this. Got to be a little bit lighter, I guess. So it stands out. There we go. Fantastic short entry. And it works, right? And so CBC stays short on the price action all the way through, right? Same thing as higher lows, lower highs, stronger lows, right? This low is not a strong low. How do I know it's not a strong low? Because it failed to push and make a higher high. If it fails to push and make a higher high, when we make this obvious lower high, where do I think we're going? To break this weak low. Make sense? Multiple wins on Axis poll. Maple needs to pick multiple winners. VIX though, market makes a new low. VIX fails to break a new high. VIX fails to make a new high here. Market makes lower. The market makes this low. You get the basis loaded reversal off the low right here. 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 And then look, this is a trend shift. You do not get a candle by candle flip until when? Oh, the top of the higher time frame cloud. This shit works too good. It works too good. And then where do you get the VIX to reverse from? The bottom of the high time frame cloud. So this is why I really like this, is because a lot of times I used to see some sort of confluence around the 10-minute 200, but it would be very inconsistent like it is here, where it's not the 10-minute 200 per se, it's that general area. Now, like having the area completely like highlighted out for me, it makes my small brain operate better. Are you looking first for NQ, ES, and VIX, CBC flip on the 10, and then looking for an entry on the 2 minute? Sometimes the 2 minute gives you the confluences to either go long or short also. Maybe a dumb question. If Des, if you could help me out with a specific example that you're looking for there, that would be great. But otherwise, to answer your question, and regardless of the 2 minute confluence to go long or short, answer your question, yes. Looking for them to be bases loaded the majority of the time. And then I'm looking for an entry on the 2. Right? Maple's 10 and 2 strategy works extremely well. I do have to say, though, that like I do watch price action on the 5. I like price action on the 5-minute chart. I still look at it. I do have, a one monitor where the chart is, typically always NQ 1052, right? And so I'm watching that just kind of like, okay, check. Where is it? If you feel like the 2 minute is giving you confluences to go long or go short, then you probably need to zoom back out, because you might be missing something on the bigger picture, right? Because if the 10 minute has flipped long, and then you're getting a shallow, slow pullback into the body of that 10-minute. The 2-minute would then be telling you to go long, because a lot of times when you get like slow, shallow pullbacks, you're not getting a candle by candle flip, or you get like a weak flip. Like, for example, it just because I don't want to mess the charts up and like have to scroll around everywhere. Just assume this was a 2-minute chart for a moment. We break lower, and then we're just drifting sideways into the EMAs. And if this was a 2-minute chart, even though this is a weak flip, we all know this is a weak flip, and just forget the orbs there. Just literally look at the EMAs and the candles. This will be a weak flip. It glides into the 2-minute EMA. You see rejection over the 2-minute 20. Like, man, this is great. Great entry. Great entry. Still a great entry. Flushes. And then, I mean, and look, I mean, this isn't going to make you rich or anything. This is only a 100-point drop. You know, it's pretty solid. Pretty good. Oh shit. I got a buddy who he does what's not like DoorDash, but like Instacart, you know, where like you go shop for people's stuff, and literally they're door dashing a suppository, a nail filer, and Preparation H. So like, I guess somebody's having a difficult time on the toilet, and so they're going to polish their nails whilst on the toilet. That's freaking hilarious. Yeah, dude, 100-pointer is super solid. I was being facetious, but I mean, it's not going to be the person's going to the ER for sure. Hey, they're going to go to the ER if they try to put the nail filer up there. Hey, yo. Damn. Dude, he sent me one a few weeks ago, and like the girl was literally like, she wanted like Plan B, and I don't even remember what it was, but it was, I don't know if it was like Plan B and like ice cream and popcorn or something like that. It was like, hey, yo, what the? Like, he's just had some wild ass orders, absolutely wild, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right, I got about 40 more minutes. Maybe let's call it 30. Hopefully, I'm making sense. I know this is absolutely way longer than I thought it would be, and I will be back. Like, I'll probably take a break. I'll talk to the other folks, whatever, around 11. I'm going to record that session specifically, so that session will be posted on my YouTube as well. And then grab some food, and then be back at it. This whatever. Like, my main objective for today was studying. So some of it will probably be boring for you all, but I don't know the right expression. I was going to say the proof is in the pudding, but I don't know. I guess hard work pays. Let's go with that. Awesome, Red. Thank you, and thank you for tuning in. I hope you're doing well out there. Can I go over liquidity? We'll go over liquidity areas where it can be spotted. I'll look for them on as we go through the rest of the week. When I post this video, if you watched like probably right before you got in, you would see that I kind of really already discussed one, especially Sunday morning's open last week. Okay, here's the VIX. So now VIX fails to make a new high, right? And it comes down into this. And then overnight, it has this beautiful trend along the 10-minute EMAs, right? As does NQ, as does ES, right? And then this was CPI. Right? 12th was CPI. Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. Okay. 1 second. Sorry. Sorry, everybody. I'm still trying to get over this cold, lose my voice thing. So I'm trying not to like hack into the microphone. Okay. So CPI, oh, what a dud, right? Total disappointment. Everybody was thinking, hey, we're turning bullish. We get this huge pop up here. You get this 10-minute candle that's nearly 200 points. It comes down. It still holds, right? Holds like the golden zone of the CPI candle. So a lot of times, you know, with like when to draw, fibs. A lot of times that's like extremely useful. As you can see, it does hold that golden zone pretty well. Not only that, but after the open, it holds it, but it fails to break it. It fails to break the higher high. It fails to break over it. And then what is this? Is for this? I'm not sure I want to label this. Friday's low. Low Q. Okay. So we failed to break over and hold price over Friday's low. So you know that the bears are still sitting there, yeah? And then the price action just fades. What do we have here? Like what happens on the VIX? One of my favorite VIX setups right here. Pre-market low for fake out breakout. So, and when we get to Friday, we can distinctly see the difference between when it fakes out like that and when it actually is going to continue to turn down. So, pre-market low, fake out, breakout. Notice, we're going to type this in here too, because I'm going to use these notes when I do the VIX session. Notice the price action gap immediately at open. Okay. Visible enough. Okay. See this right here? This is what I'm talking about right there. So following the open, VIX popped down. Right? And this is because VIX does not open right at 9:30. So let me just, I don't want to jack this up, but I will show you guys on a 1 minute chart. Clear 1 minute chart. That would have been Wednesday. It was on 4 days. Yo, I literally had it pulled up to the spot and then it friggin' had to get jacked up. That's stupid. Right here. So this is exactly the gap that I'm talking about. And I'm expecting, like, I'm looking for this little gap to be filled. I don't know. My eyes are just drawn towards like, hey, that looks weird. What are we doing there? And so this candle begins at 9:32. So that means 2 minutes later, right? In the VIX makes this big drop 2 minutes later. If we look at NQ on the 1 minute, why can't I type? Got all these drawings. This is the 12th. Sorry, on the wrong day. Here's CPI. Okay. So after the first 2 minutes, NQ is up, right? NQ makes this move down, can't break this pivot low, and it pops up, which is like VIX moving down now, right? So, like if VIX isn't open the first 2 minutes and you see the first 2 minutes of the price action, you're like, oh, VIX is going to drop down. So then the problem is VIX doesn't sustain that, except VIX moves lower, NQ moves higher, NQ makes this area here. This is where VIX pre-market low fake out breakout is occurring. You're seeing all this weakness right at that's what last week's RTH low means on my normal chart. All this weakness, rut row, is don't look good, all right? And if we go to the ES chart, please don't move. Yes, it stayed in the same spot. ES also, same thing, held this pivot low, right? Actually, I think if we're going to be fair, it did just barely wick under it, which is perfect. So moved onto this wick. Means that they can't move it lower, right? Because it's quick, little fake out action, and it rips up. Wow, that's like 17 points. Pretty solid. And then what happens, of course, what does it do? It hits this. So you end up in a range, right? You end up in a little range on the VIX 1 minute. Give me a second, I'll get rid of this. All right. So you look at that. Look at this. This is 952. Look at the little range you end up in, right? 1 minute, boom, boom, boom. Very easy to see on the 1 minute. That everybody should be on the 1, but very easy to see, hey, we're forming a range. You can probably see this on the 5, the 2, even the 10 to a degree, but it's going to be a lot tighter. But price is just coiling, and it can't break this high. So it broke this low, just barely, not under here, but just barely under here, pushes up, but then it can't break the high. When it can't break the high, What are we going to do? We're going to break the low. Then we break the low. What happens? We don't even go back up to the high. What's that mean? We're going to break the low even more. We're going to go down low. Make sense? Anybody? Yes. Dude, what's up? Why are you always changing your name? What is Lip Bhutan? Lip Bhutan. Is it really? Is that really the CEO's new name of Intel? Oh my God, that's hilarious. Okay, back to what I was talking about. So, yeah, fails. Price action fails. Pre-market low fake out breakout is fabulous. Everything works. Price rejects over the higher time frame cloud on VIX. The other thing too that I would be watching is from VIX close to VIX open. This is a golden zone. You say close to open. That is a golden zone rejection on a gap down. Classic move. We're going to go lower. We get this. We're going to go at least go test back the other side of the range. Kind of works along the same guidelines as here, you know, like we know this is a strong high. Why? Because we broke this low. We broke this low. What happens? We pull back up into here. We hit this pivot really nicely as well. Little nice pivot. Boop, boop. And we fail, right? And what does that coincide with? That coincides with the market bottoming right here. What is this bottom? Pre-market low. Session low, and then on ES, it's just a little bit below this range here, so not as clean, right? So you can see tech was stronger, right? These are going to be the situations where you're going to see that, hey, there is a slightly different weighting to these because although, you know, ES has Apple and Microsoft, right? And NQ has Apple, Microsoft, but NQ is going to be more heavily weighted on the tech side, you know, where NVIDIA, Tesla, Google, Netflix, all of them are going to hold a little bit more. And then, you know, remember that ES is going to have things, you know, like banks, like healthcare, etc. And Shiny knows this way better than I do. But I at least understand the broad aspect of it. And Shiny's really the genius here. I just am like, hey, let's click some buttons. Cool. Moves back down. Comes back into the range, right? Tough. So if we look at from a bases loaded VIX strategy perspective, okay, this is a good thing to show you. Right here on this candle, bases loaded flips to be bearish. And you know that. Well, obviously, there's the indicator that would tell you all three would be highlighted red. So you've made this sort of double bottom where on the CPI news low wick for VIX, we cannot move lower. When we cannot move lower and VIX starts to push back up and NQ is pushing down and then ES is pushing down, right? You have bases loaded flipping short. Now, it doesn't mean just short the open, right? Because if you just shorted the open, you would get steamrolled here. But what it does mean is that, like, I want to see a decisive flip back the other way. This flip, this pre-market low fake out breakout flip, is the one of those setups where it's like the market is trying to throw you off. And if you know what's going on, you won't get thrown off, right? But after the first 10-minute closes, NQ is still a concern because you had all this momentum, and then this is where you stopped. Like, of all places, you got to stop right there at Friday's low, and then you have that. Okay, so VIX flips back long here. So this is just like a fake out flip. You flip back long, you're still bases loaded short, and you go back to bases loaded short here on NQ, and you maintain bases loaded short on ES. So for everybody who's an ES trader, you have a decisive move down through VWAP, pulls back into the body, albeit a large pullback. But if you look at the We look at the whole day. At that point in time, it was a nice golden zone move back into that range. And then you get this move down, right? So same thing. NQ. Candle by candle flip. Buy it when the candle's green, or in this case, sell it when the candle's green. If you look from here to here, which would be the high of day to low of day, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did that one peak? No, it's a little under. You get 6 opportunities to short off of that powerful flip right following the open following Friday's low rejection, which understandably so. Taking some of these would be like, dude, I'm just calling this as the top, right? For sure, I get that. But are you really, though? Are you really calling that the top? Look at it from this perspective. Here's this candle's high. You're only able to break this one and you reject. And then you're pushed lower. You barely push any lower, right? And so even if you just said, hey, I'm only going to go short when these candles like turn red or gray in my case. You know, you waited for this one. You see this one. Okay, fine. Next time we push up in that area, I'll go short when it flips back red. You go short here. You'd be short at 92. And I mean, you pretty much would make it to VWAP. That was like 90 points. This one, holy shit. This one is great. Again, if you said the same thing, I'll go short here. You would short the opening print. Let's just say 96. Well, it's going to give me a little higher, so I won't go to the bottom. It's 160 points. And then this one almost does it. But again, short from the same place you went short before. And why? Because you're sitting in this range. What's going on here? Right? Here's your high, right? Move, makes the move lower. Can't break that. This can't break over here. So now we're stuck. All right, we moved down. We broke this low. Come back up. Now we can't break this high. So what do I think we're going to do? Potentially break this low, which we don't get. We kind of run out of time. Run out of time. Push higher. Lower high here. We break this low. Then we're going to break this low. Which it takes us a while. We get there. It takes a while. Like I said earlier, and some of you probably weren't here for that, but you know, it's going to go somewhere. It's just going to take the most like curvy, volatile way to get there. And then ultimately it does. And that's where we end up with Thursday's low. So, but just utilizing strictly bases loaded. And you were like, well, I'm going to wait. And exercise in patience. Here, your base is loaded. Reversal long. Here on that candle. Because VIX flipped first. And sometimes VIX will flip first. So this is one of those times where, you know, it's like, you know, how did you get that entry? Well, VIX already flipped. VIX just had a bearish engulfing here. So when VIX has a bearish engulfing off of a key area, right? So for me, the golden zone failure like that is key area. The 10-minute 200 would be key area. It then closes back down, you know, so it's like, it obviously it rejected this pivot, but it's also closing back, like it was making a move towards 27, it broke 26.5, and then it closes back way down under 26.5, closer to 26. I'm going to be expecting this to continue through. Now, expectations, they don't always come true, but that's just kind of like, hey, we're playing ping pong. We've gone here. Now I think we're going to go there. And then that's why, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's why I'm not so keen on taking like this short, which would be long for the market, because like, it's like, like I could see this working out some more, but like this entry, I don't know about, you know, this entry, yeah, right. Like you see, we tap in VWAP, we tap the orb low. This is orb low. This is actually orb low, re-break in base, like when we reclaim in base. which is a good trade setup. But this is concerning. You know, it's kind of like and then we actually did drop down here, and you see how we formed this gap, and I believe it's on my boom. Yeah, I literally have a note. Watch this area. Okay. So that's your signal right there. Like, so for anybody who's like trying to be like, how do I get on these reversals? Blah 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 blah. Well, like, you know, it's very decisive. And these EMAs try to cross green, and then they didn't, and then you close back under them. It's, you know, this is going to continue to be bearish on VIX, which is bullish market. And so even a late entry here, like on ES. You know, you could have gotten V. I don't know how this candle formed and if you would have gotten wicked out, but like 81, you could have at least gotten 15 points on ES, which is fantastic. Which orb low is a great place to scale out, anyways, especially you have these are the wicks and you're not sure where we're gonna go. And then for NQ, you know, if you waited and you had the candle by candle flip and then you pull back, I bet you this is a 2-minute dip. This would be 11:30 on the 12th. I'll put it on the 2 minutes. Oh, come on. Dude, come on. It's 11:56. Yeah, oh yeah, well, 11:30. I mean, it's like there's no dip. You're not even at the 2-minute EMAs yet. So you don't get to the 2-minute EMAs until here, which you can see does line up quite nicely. Like how we were trying to consolidate, like that, you know, and this is where you can tell there was struggle. It pushes up, they come back down, they touch it, and then this is where time and time again you see stuck bears are going to exit, right? And they're gonna help me buy this back up, and I'm gonna jump on their back and run away with profits, you know. And so that would have been 11:56. Yes, that would have been this candle right here, and that would have been like as the EMAs are pinching and have curled over, and like for Ripster's using his 512, that's a 512 curl, right? And I know that because 11:56 would be on this candle's 512 curl. See the curl? Please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to tell you should change or do what Ripster does. I'm just know different people's setups. I mean, I've been following Ripster, I think, longer than I've been following Maple, to be honest. As like I first joined Atlas, and people were talking about how he teaches a repeatable system. Done the same thing for like 4 years. So. Shiny. I just seen that. I know the dollars, which is more genius. I don't know if that, I mean, money isn't everything, you know. If I need your knowledge to be successful, I may want to second guess trading. Seems easy to see when you point it all out, but I don't see. But Rick, this is great, guys. Like for anybody like watching the video, you know, I just want to point this out right to you all. This for you to read while I'm talking to Rick. Rick, it's not always like this for me either. Sometimes, you know, I'm just like, you know, what are they doing here? And that's like when I have those moments, what I've learned is when I'm saying, hey, what's really going on? I have to step back. I have to zoom out, right? And sometimes even like when I say zoom out, that's like me like really leaning back in my chair and moving further away from all of the monitors, like, and just what's the big picture? Like you probably can even tell from the mic, like, what's the big picture? Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Where are we trying to go? Right? And if I don't know, not knowing what to do is like telling me, hey Joe, take both your hands and stick them under your legs and just sit on them, because you should not enter into a trade. Exactly. Got to step back from the trees to see the forest standing up. Exactly. Man, some of you are so much more eloquent than I am. I just like butcher stuff. So don't worry about it, Rick. Like, it's okay. And if you can't see it, then just like try to see it. And when you can't see it and you're trying to see it, it's just like, okay, well, maybe this is just something I have not been exposed to yet, because there's always going to be other forms of price action. There's always going to be other situations. And so that's where you need to just start honing your skills on like the one thing, right? It's like that karate quote of like, not being afraid of a guy who's practiced 1,000 different kicks, but being afraid of the guy who's practiced the same kick 1,000 times, right? So don't worry about all this other noise and like this EMA that's outside your system or that setup that's outside your system. Like if you are just honed in on like, I'm waiting to find my setup for my system, then find that setup, and you won't get that every day. So if you're nowhere near where that is, and you're not set an alert, and then just use that time to watch price action, look at what's going on, and determine, hey, I've seen this before, right? And to just start to build your own, your own compilation of notes about a specific setup. Like if you name it, right? Like say you didn't know what orb low breaking base was, or say, whatever, right? Like VWAP breaking base or anything like that. Just start being like, hey, it seems like, I'm just gonna make something up. It seems like, man, every day at 12 o'clock lately, we break over VWAP, and then the candle comes back down and it like touches the VWAP area, and then it continues. And like, I wonder how often that happens. And you start going back and you look at, wow, in the last like 2 months, I found 10 solid VWAP reversals and only one time when it failed. That's a really good trade I should probably start looking for. Let me go back and back test it more. And for outside of the last 2 months, go 4 months. And so you start building different things up to help you also understand like the whole perspective in and of itself, right? Like, because not every move is meant to be traded. And to be honest, like you just burn yourself out. Yeah, that's the paradox of trading for sure. Like Depp says. I'm not saying the other name. Find one setup happens every day. Make sure you have your chart highlight or that area to create a bot to take it. It won't hesitate entry, profit, or stop loss. Exactly. And then the other thing too is like, this is like one of those things that like, if I should probably make a list someday of like, what would you tell Joe 2-3 years ago? And it would just be like, on that list, I would have this. I would say, Joe, you have not yet earned the right for home run trades. Be happy with base hits, and you'll be able to swing the bat harder when the time comes, right? So just like staying with baseball, because if I would have been happier with base hits and just taking them, I would not have had as many maybe base hits turn red on me, in my earlier days, or I would not have, or I most certainly would have made more profits because I wouldn't have let these base hits get squandered into like, or doubles or triples get squandered into like a base hit. Whereas like, I was up $60 a con on this trade and I probably should have taken profit, and now I'm only going to leave with 10, that type of shit. So just like take your base hit, take your base hit, take your base hit. Those base hits will stack up and pad the account. And then you get to the point where it's like, hey, you know what? I can take 2 contracts now, take 3 contracts now, right? Like that's why I tell most people, like I don't want to say advise, I recommend. It's not financial advice. I don't know how else to word that. You do your own thing, but less is totally more, right? Like, if you're doing well with 2 micros, you don't go to a mini, you go to 3 micros, right? If you do well with 3 micros, you do what? You go to 4 micros. So that's my objective that I hope to share with you guys in a few months' time with the cash account. I'm going to start with 4 micros. I'm going to take trades, and I'm going to try to build them up, build it up, right? And literally show you guys less is more and work your way up, right? And then I hope to get to the point where, at some point I'll probably have to go from like maybe like 15 micros to just 2 minis. Because I think at a certain point, like 20 micros is just a lot of commissions. But we'll see how that goes. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I end up Annie up that I shared it on X. I think my original post off of the beginning of the day, I ended up actually like giving back a little bit of profits holding it. Yeah, I think that was like some of my best scales. Actually, no, my best scale was over 200%. My best scales were over 200%. So not bad. And then thank you. And then SPY calls were around the same thing. I think I'm sorry, the SPY calls would have been around 100-ish%. So, and then probably about midday, I was just like, man, this is getting real choppy. I don't like this. Theta's going to start eating me up. And so I'm going to close these out. And the SPY calls did go back up a little bit towards the end of the day. And then the meta ones puked. So, it's 50-50, right? If I had held both, I probably would have ended up with about the same money anyways. So just let it go. But they were good trades. Thank you. All right. I'm going to take 10 before I do the other VIX thing. I will be back. So, I'm going to probably take 10. I'll do that. VIX thing, chill for a bit. And then I'm going to get some more studying in and some more note taking. And I'm sure that I will progress through the rest of the week with understanding the CBC. The bases loaded. They're posted on the Skilled floor and they're also on my YouTube. Yeah, no problem. So you guys can check those out. Also, I did miss something too. WDE 1999 did say, touch on some things you look for to let you know when it's a good time to sit on hands. Lots of new people in here. Okay, to say that really quickly, if you're not watching VIX and you're just singularly watching one ticker, I think most of the time trading index options is not really a good idea. In fact, actually, it was great to hear that Lance Brightstein, who just did his interview with Words of Wisdom, great podcast. You guys should check that out. He even said that there are some firms that literally told everybody, stop trading the indexes. None of you make money on them, which I thought was funny because a lot of us do actually make money on them, but we're we're very specifically focused on super scalping them. But I think the vast majority of the market does lose on SPY. Hence, why they're so popular, right? Because people want to revenge and get their money back. So, but if you're trading futures, which I think is much easier, just due to the fact that there's no Greeks and the leverage that you can apply through funding companies, they're not prop companies, they're funding companies. But if you're going to, this is a very long answer. If you're going to just strictly focus on looking at one ticker, I think you have to be. The best advice I would have for you is to be very mindful of the range that you're in, right? Look at the previous few days, understanding where you are and what's happened, right? If you have had inside day, and your price is just coiling, understanding that if we get a break to one side, especially if the prevailing trend is bearish and we break upwards, without some sense of strength there, it's likely a fake out and we're going to break all the way to the other end of the range and move downwards. Little things like that, little nuance things. But I would just tell people wait for confirmation and don't be afraid to pay a bit more for higher price. But I feel like I have to really be specific about that, okay? If the 10-minute candle is obviously short, Maple does not mean, and I don't mean this either, pay more for higher price, go short here. That's not what it means. What it means is that you've gotten confirmation on the 10. Use the 2-minute chart to get an adequate pullback within that 10. So that way you have defined risk and you have a higher probability of being able to take profit off of that trade, right? Most of the time, breakout sellers are going to get stuffed. If you are breakout short here, you get stuffed. If you are breakout short here, you got stuffed. If you are breakout short here, you got stuffed. 3 times you get stuffed, only to see them work in your favor. Okay? And that's just even if that was on this is a 2-minute chart, doesn't matter. However, if you understand Maple's system of using pullback entries and then going short, it is extremely, extremely, extremely lucrative. Look at this pullback into the 2-minute EMAs, right? Yes, your 2-minute candle by candle flips long, it flips long, it flips long. Yeah. It's long. This is not strong long, right? This is gliding up into the EMAs. You're not getting any strength. You're getting rejection here. And then you peek over and you knife, candle by candle flip short. When this candle by candle flips short, if you literally Well, it's not quite the 50, but if you literally just said, actually, you know what? You should do it off the body because it's like pull halfway back into the body. If you just literally do body to body, you could have put an entry at the 50% point of that body and been fat green. Fat. Like, I don't like, do you understand? This is ES. This moves from 5611. This moves down 15 points. 15 points. 15 points in ES inside of 4 minutes. Like, yo, what was this? This was 1016 on the 12th on, let's look at NQ. Most of you shouldn't trade NQ, and if you do, you should trade with smaller size, but here we are. What time was that? Oh, shit. What time was that? When was that? 10:10, so this was 10:14? Is that right? Up short? Yeah, 10:10. 10:10 on the 12th. I'm losing it. 10:10 on the 12th. You don't even get that pullback on NQ. You don't. Unfortunately, you don't. But you break back under the 2-minute EMAs there, or whatever, and you move down. That's a little bit tougher. But if you're an ES trader, which is again, most people probably should trade ES because it's slower and you want to learn. Those are the list of things I would tell you is things to look out for. Don't trade NQ. Take your time. Pay attention to the range. Look for pullback entries. And take it easy. Take it slow. Yeah, 15 is a super solid trade on ES. Even on MES, it's great. Exactly. Hell yeah. Because eventually if you move up to ES, 4 points on ES is $200 a con. Fuck yeah, and yeah, hell yeah. $1 per hour, that is wild, right? That's right. Well, 5 points your base hit on. That's awesome, Red. See, look, I mean, like, and it makes sense. ES to like just do it. So, all right, I only got 3 minutes, so I gotta hop on a call. I'm gonna grab a drink, but life is hella good. But thank you all for your time and attention and participation. And I don't know if you guys. I'll stop the recording now.